Meghan Markle has revealed she suffered a miscarriage in July in an article published in the New York Times. The Duchess of Sussex wrote about the deep grief and loss she and husband Prince Harry experienced. The 39-year-old said she chose to share what happened to let people know how common miscarriage is. She also made a plea for tolerance and compassion. Ruth Bender-Attic is the National Director at the Miscarriage Association in the UK, and she joins me more to talk about this. Well, hello there to you. Many thanks for joining us. Well, as we were just saying, Meghan Markle wanted to highlight the issue of miscarriage, saying she wanted people to know how common it was. But just how common is miscarriage in terms of pregnancies?
It's very common, much more so than people realise. Around 1 in 4 pregnancies will end in miscarriage. That's sometime before 24 weeks of pregnancy here in the UK. The definition is different in other countries, but that's our cut-off point.
1 in 4, that's an absolutely, it's a lot more than one would expect. Why are these numbers almost kept so quiet? Why isn't this out in the public domain as it should be?
That's a really good question. And I think part of the problem is that we don't talk about it that much. So that, for example, if you think about the education system, we talk to kids about their personal lives and whether or not they should become sexually active and how to avoid pregnancies. But we don't talk about when they want to be pregnant and when pregnancies go wrong. So they don't know the numbers. And we do talk about it in general. But maybe it's something that people don't want to hear. They don't want to know that there's a risk.
And when we're pregnant, when women are pregnant, obviously, hormones are racing. And I can only imagine the fact that your hormones are kind of going wild, coupled with the trauma of miscarriage, must make this a really, really difficult emotional path to cross. So what can one do to support people, couples, as they go through this traumatic process?
I think one of the best things that we can do to support people is to acknowledge their loss. I mean, we can't ever know what someone is going through individually because it affects people in a different way. But for many, many people, however early the miscarriage happens in their pregnancy, it is a loss of a future that they'd thought about, planned, dreamed about. They're losing a baby, even if it's 7 weeks of pregnancy. So saying something like, I'm really sorry for your loss. Maybe, asking people, how are you doing? Not even straight away, but maybe a few weeks later when others have kind of moved on. Because these feelings of loss and grief and physical emptiness can last for weeks or months or more.
And then why is it that some women will suffer more miscarriages than others? We have experience of some women suffering recurrent miscarriages, which must be just really extremely painful indeed. Do we know why?
We really don't know why. I mean, there is a great deal of research yet to do about miscarriage, and knowing more about that kind of biology and is going to help. We do know for sure that the older women get as we get into our 40s, and the more miscarriages we've had in the past, the higher our risk of miscarriage, and that's probably because of chromosome abnormalities. But there's so much that we don't know. I should say that recurrent miscarriage, women who have 3 or more miscarriages in a row, is relatively uncommon. It's about 1% of couples who are trying to conceive. But it is devastating for each and every one of those people. It is very, very difficult to contemplate being pregnant again after you've had losses in the past. It's a scary time, a scary decision, and a difficult time to get through. And that's when you need support also.
Devastating loss. Well, thanks so much, Ruth Bender-Attic, for joining us on the programme.